Hello everyone out there in YouTube and welcome to episode 36 of my Doctor Who action figure reviews. Before we get started, just a few things to mention. I'd like to firstly thank Jay Dragonarc Productions for that new intro sequence that you saw at the beginning of this episode. It's fantastic. I was very honoured to be offered my own title sequence for my reviews, as mine isn't that great, but that's mainly because I use Movie Maker. So thank you to Jay Dragonarc Productions for that. Go and check out his channel. He does a lot of really cool intros for different YouTube channels and all sorts of other videos. And the other thing I'd like to say is an apology for how long this review has taken to appear on the internet. I was deliberately waiting as I was trying to track this set down so that it'd fit in with my previous two reviews of the Sontarans. So I found this on Amazon because it wasn't available in Forbidden Planet, because it has been a number of years since this came out, and I was waiting until it arrived to film the review. But now I've got it and now I can get on with it. So today's review is, of course, the Invasion of Time set. As you can see, it's the last of the classic Sontarans that were released. And unlike the previous sets, which featured a Sontaran scout ship and a Doctor, this set features Leela, as played by Louise Jameson, and Commander Storr from the Invasion of Time. Now, I like this set. It's a nice set. It's got a few issues and a few odd things about it, but it's a nice set. So the first figure we're going to take a look at is Leela. So this is Leela as seen in the Invasion of Time, in her paler coloured skin cloth outfit. And the articulation is as follows. The arms can go up and down and to the back, however her hair will hinder the movement of the arms. Her head can't move at all. She has 360-degree movement at the hips. Her legs can't really move, they're very stiff. There's no thigh articulation, they can't go forward and backward because of the skirt, and the knees can bend, and there is also thigh articulation that can do a 360. So that's the articulation. A word of warning with Leela, because this is actually this is a very flimsy figure. It's very thin because her arms are quite thin and everything, and as you can see, the joints on mine actually aren't very good. They actually came in the box like this. You can actually see where they're starting to come out of the socket. So be very careful when moving this figure. And especially the hands, which can do a 360, I forgot to mention that. And be careful with the legs as well, as they are only very thin, and they don't move, so if you force it too much, the leg's just going to snap off. So that's the articulation for Leela. Not as much as a Doctor gets, but it's pretty standard. And oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention, she has ball jointed arms as well, as some of the classics started to get. So detail wise, well, in terms of the face sculpt, which I shall look at first, it's a reasonable likeness of Louise Jameson. Doesn't look too much like her, but anybody who buys this figure will recognise who it's supposed to be. You've got the eyebrows painted on rather nicely, and the face. I think the face might actually be slightly too thin on this figure. I'm not sure. But the hair's very nice. This figure actually has two different hair pieces that are attached to it, as this was released. This was the last Leela to be released. The other one being Image of the Fendor, which is basically the same, but the hair tied up. But this one's got the longer hair piece clipped in, and it's very nice. It's got a lot of detail in the hair and lots of different black and brown washes over the top to give it extra detail, and it's very nice. So that's the face sculpt. As you can see on the neck, we have the necklace that she wears, made out of that material. It's in the pale skin colour and pale tan colour and the brown, as it is in the episode. That's just sculpted on very nicely with the little bit of string just below. Then we move on to the costume, which out of the two costumes that she wore, well, the two that are like this, the leathers, this is probably my least favourite costume that Leela wore. It's a bit silly, and it's a very ugly colour, being kind of bright yellowy. But they've done a nice job trying to recreate the skin effect. They've done it in a tan colour with some creases across it as well at the front. So that's been highlighted with some grey paint, and of course these lines, I think they're meant to represent the stitching. She has her knife pouch as the other Leela figure did, the one from the Face of Evil with the dark brown leathers. She has the arm pieces of fabric arm pads on here with the strings that tie it together, just painted on in black, and then little bits of string at the bottom, which are very difficult to see. That's not a sculpting error, that's part of the sculpt of the armbands, and the same on this side. The back on this Leela is better than the other one, as there is a seam that goes straight down the back, and it's obvious that they've just stuck it onto a plastic torso. And this one doesn't have that, which is much better. It's again got the lines going down it as well, and this little back pouch, this little pocket here as well, which is very, very nice. And if we just lift up the arms, you can see the stitching where the two pieces of cloth material go together, and this is the same on the other side. So the detail on the costume is very, very nice. Moving down to the lower half, the boots are very, very nice as well. They are sculpted very, very well. Lots of creases, painted with a dark, like a black colour, and then with a dirty brown wash over the top to give it the battered leathery effect, kind of like John Hurt's jacket. But that's basically it for the detail on Leela. Leela comes with one accessory, well, two if you count the other one, but it's not really for her, and that is her knife, which is just a piece of black and silver plastic sculpted in the shape of a knife. It's okay, it's very nice, and that this can slot very nicely into the little pouch. But anybody who, like, if you're like me, you'll want to display Leela as she is seen quite often in the story, holding the knife like that, and I think she looks pretty cool, just stood ready to fight off Sontarans or Chancellery Guards or whatever her and the Doctor are up against. Oh, I do apologise, Leela doesn't want to stand up. There we go. So that's Leela, a very, very nice figure. I'm very glad to have another Leela. I only own two of them, the Face of Evil one and this one. Very nice figure, but for me, really, the highlight, oddly enough, is the Sontaran Commander Store. So this is Commander Store, as played by Derek Deadman. If you don't know who Derek Deadman is, he's in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone as the barman near the beginning of the film, just before Hagrid takes Harry to Diagon Alley. Just a bit of trivia there for you. And the figure is a very nice figure considering the Sontaran it's meant to represent. Anybody who's seen Invasion of Time will know that the Sontaran makeup in the Invasion of Time is the worst makeup for the Sontarans that there was. I think it's even worse than the Two Doctors. But that's mainly because the story was rushed and then had to be put together rather quickly. And this is not disrespect to Derek Deadman as an actor, but the performance of the Sontaran is nothing compared to Kevin Lindsay's performance as Lynx and Styre. So articulation-wise, the arms can go do a 360. They can bend at the bicep. There's articulation at the above the elbows. It can't go too much because of the large torso. The head slightly turns, not too much at all, just turns very, very slightly. The legs go forward and backward and out to the side on a T-joint crotch piece, and the knees I think can bend. However, mine are very, very, very stiff because of the boots and the like knee pad armor, and I don't really want to force it in case I break the figure. And the other articulation as is 360-degree movement at the wrists, same as on the other Sontarans. But of course with the Sontarans it's the detail of the figure which makes it so good. Now this figure borrows a lot of elements from Field Major Steyr and Commander Lynx. It's the same body, essentially, with a couple of tweaks. Of course, the thing that is notably different is the head sculpt of Commander Storr. As you can see, the head sculpt is very, very good. Actually looks a lot like the actor who played him on screen. Sorry, the camera's going out of focus. Looks very, very good. They've actually managed to make the makeup look better here than it actually does in the story, but that's not difficult. You've got very nice detail. The paint apps on this figure actually highlight, I think, the skull of the Sontaran quite well, and this actually looks like a proper monster rather than the man in the suit he obviously is in the story. And if you just look at that, the paint apps, you've got a lot of different colours of brown and tanned colours. There's like a lighter bit around the skeletal structure of the skull. The eyes are painted very, very well with the sort of blue eyes he had with all the dark black paint around it, which is done very nicely. There's different shades of black around there, and there's darker shades to highlight the browns of the head. The ears are very nice. There's no veins on this. Oh wait, actually, there is a slight one on the sides of the head. The temple's done very, very nice. The only thing I will say about my particular version of this figure is, unfortunately, there is a speck of black paint on his cheek, which I don't mind too much, but if we turn it round, I've got a whopping great splodge of black paint on the back of the Sontaran's head, which is a shame, as it's kind of taking away some of the detail of the head. It kind of blends in a little with the head, but it's obviously a paint spillage of some kind, so that's a shame, but then again, I don't display Sontarans looking backwards. The neck bin is different again. It's got this little highlight down here, similar to Lynx's, but more prominent. The neck bin is also a lot wider than on the other two figures. And of course, the probit vent is again different. It's wider, it's more of an oval shape with this kind of star hole in it for the probit vent, where Leela throws knives into Sontarans and everything, but not to Storr. The body is... Ooh, excuse me, I knocked my camera. The body is exactly the same as on Steyr and Lynx. It's basically the same body. The differences, of course, being that the belt is now different. It's now not got black at the ends here, and the pattern has also been removed from this version, and you've got the highlights around the top and the bottom of it. It's just completely smooth silver paint, which doesn't look as good as the other belt did, obviously, but this is how the Sontarans looked in Invasion Time and the Two Doctors. We have new equipment on the torso, the hips. We have the grenade, which Storr was going to use to blow up the Eye of Harmony. It's very nice. It's shaped exactly like the grenade is in that story, with the red triangle with the bit in the middle, the grey bit in the middle, the thicker triangle there, and the little circle piece, if I just bring that in closer, just there. And of course you have Storr's communicator, which he takes off quite a lot to use, which doesn't look as good as the others. And basically this is painted in white with the black screen and the two red I'd say keypads on there, but I don't know what they were. And that's painted very, very nice. This isn't removable, so don't try and take it off, otherwise you'll never get it back on again. The hands are the same as Lynx. They are three-fingered hands, just painted slightly differently to match the paint apps of the head. And the legs are basically the same. They are Steyr's legs, but without the silver at the bottom. They are the armoured boots, painted completely black, but obviously with silver kneecap armour. And the only other difference between this and Steyr is he has the wand kind of pouch on the side of his leg to put the wand weapon in, to save him holding it. So that's the detail on Storr. It's very, very nice, but like I say, it's not the best Sontaran in the story, and well, in Doctor Who, but in figure form it's very, very nice. So now I shall move on to talk about the accessories for this figure. Again, we have the wand weapon as we had with Lynx. This is basically exactly the same sculpt, except there is now no copper detailing whatsoever on this gun. At the tip there's no white or any copper. It's just black with silver on it, so pretty standard. And that again slots into the little pouch. Well, can, but it's incredibly fiddly, like Lynx's. Let me just, there we go, slotting in nice and easy there, just slots in there. And of course it fits into his hand. Store's hand actually has a wider gap, so he can actually hold the weapon better than Lynx could. Just for quickness, you can have it displayed like that, but of course the two prongs need to be underneath his hands, his fingers, but he can hold it very, very nicely. And the other accessory that this figure comes with is the helmet, which is pretty cool. It's different to the other helmets, mainly because the bottom has this very large ridge, as Store had. The rest of the Sontarans had standard helmets like Steyr. This is painted in the same silver as Lynx's helmet, with a slightly larger piece at the top here, and has the same symbol as Lynx's, except rather than being several dots to make up the pattern, they just painted it on as it is in the story. It does actually have a grey highlight over the edges in the story, but I can live without that. And the eyes are two very, very small slits. Again, you might not be able to see so well on camera, but it's got the grating detailing on them as well. This isn't on the helmet in the story. This is just completely empty, and the eyes are considerably larger on this, as you can actually see the mask and the eyes of Store when he's wearing the helmet. The helmet has a different way of clipping on. This is probably the easiest helmet to get on out of all of them, as this one you just clip straight on the back like that, and there you go. You have Store as he looks at for the majority of the story with his helmet on, looking very, very cool, I might say, cooler than without the helmet. And you can reenact that cliffhanger where the Sontarans are standing on the stairs and Tom Baker just looks dumbfounded. So that's Store, a very, very nice figure. Probably, it's probably either my second favourite or my least favourite, because between Steyr and Store, there are things I like about this figure and things I dislike, and there are things about Steyr I like and dislike, but yeah, he's still a very good Sontaran nonetheless. So the last thing to talk about is the very curious choice to include the accessory that was included with this set, which was to include the DMACC gun as used by Tom Baker. Now, there's no Tom Baker in this set, so this is kind of like the Time Monster set, where you get the crystal of the John Pertwee's little detector thing, and there's no John Pertwee with it. It's a Master and a TARDIS. So this accessory doesn't belong to either Leela or Store. Neither of them use this gun, but it's a nice little accessory to have, and I do think the DMACC gun is very, very cool. For those of you who don't know, the DMACC gun is a forbidden weapon of Gallifrey, like the moment. And basically, anybody who's shot with this is instantly erased from time and space. So Store unfortunately meets his end trying to blow up the Eye of Harmony because of this gun, and it's powered by the Great Key of Rassilon. Now, the detailing on this is surprisingly good. It's got the clear transparent end with the ridges. It's kind of difficult in this light to show you. As you can see, very, very nice. The long barrel, the transparent section here, with the three silver bits at the end. You have the attachments, the long scope attachment here, painted completely in black. The little slit with the black paint in it on both sides. The grey handle. There's no trigger, but I don't remember seeing a trigger in the story. Probably was, but I didn't see it. And of course, you have the support at the back, the rather large, which is like a metal bar with this long support here and this black bit at the back. The only piece of detailing which I think they should have included, which isn't here, but would have been good, is an indication of where the key of Rassilon goes to power this gun. But it isn't there. It's a shame, but it doesn't really bother me too much. It's just very, very nice to have the DMACC gun. I quite like this accessory. I'll just show you very, very quickly. We don't have a season 15 Tom, I believe it should be. But if we take the Pyramids of Mars Tom, show you what essentially it's like in the story. Just get him to grasp the gun. He will grasp the gun. It's very fiddly because this figure doesn't have ball jointed arms. And there you go, Tom Baker holding the DMACC gun, ready to fight off the Sontarans. Of course, this Doctor isn't really one you'd think would use a weapon like this, but he does. I think it'd be more fitting if it was, if I just bring him in, John Hurt, to be honest, wielding the DMACC gun. Unfortunately, I tried to get him to hold this weapon and take a picture of him fighting off some Daleks, but unfortunately, this gun does not fit inside John Hurt's hands. So, unfortunately, I can't show you that. But yes, the gun does fit into the Fourth Doctor's hand, and it's pretty cool to just have him holding it. I mean, it's not the correct Tom, but we haven't had a season 15 Tom with the open waistcoat and the longer scarf yet. So, but we may never get that if the line is dying. Ooh, hold the gun, Tom, please. So, as I was saying, it's pretty good just to have Tom there. And he looks pretty nice displayed with this, if I just zoom out. And he looks pretty nice displayed there with Leela, with Commander Store. And just for one final little comparison, here's Store standing with Field Major Steyer and Commander Lynx. As you can see, three very, very cool, classic-looking Sontarans who fit together quite nicely. They're very, very good figures. I've enjoyed collecting all the classic Sontarans, but Lynx is still my favourite out of all of them. So that's all I have to say about this review. For this review, thank you for watching. If you'd like to get the Invasion of Time set, you may have to look on Amazon. I did look in Forbidden Planet and I've looked online. Fortunately, they've had a flooding in the Southampton store. But this set is quite rare to get now, the Invasion of Time set. I had to pay about £40 for it. Well, actually, it was £40 was paid for it. It was a birthday present for me. I turned 22 the other day. And you, of course, can get the Sontaran Experiment set and the Time Warrior set from Forbidden Planet. All three are exclusives. And you'll get a variety of different figures. If you ask me which ones are worth getting, all three of them. You get three really cool classic Sontarans, you get a good third Doctor, you get two scout ships, you get a pretty crappy Tom Baker variant that doesn't exist, but that can't be helped, and of course you'll get a Leela, and if you don't have any Leelas, because one was an exclusive and the other came with the Image of the Fendal set, which costs quite a lot of money, then you may want to get this set. So thank you for watching this review, guys. Just before I finish, another thank you to Jay Dragonarc Productions. And another thing I was asked to do, there's a friend of mine who has a little cross-stitching business. She stitches various retro characters or animation characters and other things, and makes pin badges, magnets or keyrings. Her name on the group is Jessawayu Cross Stitch, so I will post the link to that if you would like a cross stitch of any particular character. She's got pictures of the ones she's done. I'm mentioning this because I've got a Sonic the Hedgehog one hopefully coming along the way. So check that out, and I think she may even, if you ask her, do requests for certain characters. I don't know what it is, and the prices are all on there. But like I said, I'll post a link to the page as well. If you'd like more information on these figures, check out Batman March's blog, or check out all three reviews of the classic Sontarans that he's done, his Invasion of Time set, Sontaran Experiment, and Time Warrior. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching. My next review Probably the Enemies of the Third Doctor box set, as I've been itching to do that for quite a while, but I didn't want to do that before I'd finished up with the 3 Sontarans. So, thank you for watching, and I shall see you in my next Doctor Who action figure review.
Oh my God.